I know that at this point, it's almost funny to say it, but even if it seems like it, I swear I'm not a Minecraft YouTuber. And I'm not going to stop uploading variety to the channel either. I don't know, I admit it. I've let myself get a bit carried away by the Minecraft trend. I promise that soon, in addition to Jujutsu Kaisen Minecraft, variety will return to the channel. This past month, I've made this channel look like a gay Akatami multi-account. Anyway, the chapter. We start with a brief explanation of, well, basically everything. Yuka always had access to the 10 Shadows technique. It wasn't limited to just 2 months of preparation. She always had it. So she should control most of the Shikigamis, right? Well, clearly not, because the damn Goyo clan. It seems like if any sorcerer shows the slightest hint of skill in sorcery, they die. They decided, as if it was no big deal, to completely forbid her from using the technique, only allowing her to use it under certain conditions to extract the abilities of some Shikigamis, nothing more. And that's it. I mean, the whole thing about the technique's bearer becoming the leader of the Zenin clan, well, that's not happening anymore either. That was my mistake in the previous video because I forgot that detail about the Zenin clan. Like, well, you know, completely crushed back then by Maki, don't blame me, okay? I was really drunk the day I read that. So I guess their rules and all that obviously went down the drain with them. The manga also gives us some context about the Mojabra guy, explaining how it's impossible to tame. I like that they highlight Megumi as the only person in the clan's history able to subdue it. But with Sukuna involved in the mix, which makes me wonder if, when he's separated from him, Megumi was able to keep control of the Moyabragas. But of course, technically, it was his body that subdued him in the first place. This also disproves the idea that Sukuna controlled Mahoraga by disintegrating him in Shibuya. Instead, he must have subdued him. Already possessing Megumi, he was still able to control him, which was strange. Afterward, maybe potential man really existed. It's pointless. He never appeared on screen or gave us a show, but oh well. It seems Gege is trying not to leave Megumi in such a bad spot, which I think is nearly impossible now. Still, I appreciate the effort. A millennia-old demon just had to inhabit his foreskin and handle everything, finally unlocking his potential. He was such a potential man if he needed the most overpowered guy in the story to activate it. I don't know. It's up to everyone. But I think yes, Megumi is very talented in quotes, even if he doesn't seem to show it. Let's remember that Gohan Bueno, they did some weird satanic ritual on him. The old man, that pervert, did something like ooga booga to him. And then he said, "Here, I'm a pervert, Pyun Pyun," and there, well, it's like he unlocked his potential and made him all badass. I wouldn't be surprised if Megumi lost against some random sorcerer. Just because, anyway. So until they confirm it in my headcanon, Megumi got taken down by any idiot off the street. I love how, no matter what Yuta and Maki did or how hard they tried, the detail remained the same. The clan spent their lives acting like crybabies who hated seeing powerful sorcerers. The girl with one of the most powerful techniques has now passed it to the ring, which can summon the queen of curses. No, give the ring to the powerless brother. Force the girl to suppress her only ability and mistreat her to keep her obedient. It seems like they were traumatized by the existence of Goyo and all that about him thinking he was the strongest, even though they were the ones who created that crappy personality for him. That's a different story. The manga also reminds us of a key factor in summoning Morabraga. That's because the summoning ritual is a dragging type, pulling both the summoner and their opponent along. Now that both Yuka and Dabura are involved, the ritual can only end in 2 ways. Dabura dies or Mahoraga turns into Chocopic. Yes, I said 2 ways, though I honestly don't know why. Yuka is currently in suspended death, which I don't know if it's a consequence of putting herself into the shadow, which would eliminate all the insults toward Megumi for not having tried that before, of course. Or maybe summoning Mojabraga used up all the energy he had left. Because as far as I remember, summoning the adaptable one didn't mean the summoner would die instantly since the summoner had to be conscious to tame it. Don't bring that up. Megumi was in suspended death when he first summoned Mahoraga, because that was solely and exclusively because the idiot let himself get knocked out without any justification. God, it comforts me to know that no matter the reason, there are still reasons to underestimate Megumi's intelligence. Since Yuka is in suspended death inside the shadow, no matter who loses this fight, Yuka will die. This is something we already expected, reflecting the fight's progress. Mahoraga punches from above and kicks Dabura away, but Dabura counters with a special move, ripping off his own arm and part of his body like Toji. Mahoraga has been damaged, however. The wheel turns. Mahoraga did it. He just adapted and his body returns to normal. That's when Dabura realizes that Mahoraga isn't a puppet being controlled by Yuka, but a completely independent creature with its own abilities. Right after realizing that, he unleashes a barrage of projectiles with his technique, disintegrating him from the waist up. Which is curious to say the least, because I'm noticing that Dabura is having a much easier time hurting him than Sukuna did. But remember, the Sukuna who fought Mahoraga and Shibuya only had about 15 fingers. We know that was only a fraction of Sukuna's true power. Now, after being disintegrated from the waist up, again, the wheel turns and he's adapted once more. Next, Dabura does what Goyo did to the plant curse from Shibuya, grabbing Mahoraga's feather-like face ornaments. He puts his feet on Mahoraga's face and fires his technique point blank, destroying much of the city. Still, Mahoraga is unharmed, and Dabura finally understands his opponent's pattern. After each turn of the wheel on his head, he recovers and seems to get used to the technique. He already understands how to adapt. Honestly, I'd love to stay here and see things like this. Two massive hydrogen bombs are kicking each other's asses, but they're in the only fight happening at the same time. Far away, Suguri and Maru have finally begun their battle. Just as I predicted, this episode would focus on all this stuff. There, Suguri is surprised that Maru can use a sword, and Maru replies that it's his brother's. And here, you have to be a bit careful with the translations, because some people say that Maru says it's his brother's sword. Some say it's his fighting style, others claim it's his brother's, and some believe it's his own unique style. Maybe Kurosu is still there in a vegetative state, or he's already buried several meters underground. Who knows? The two begin trading blows, both showing strong sword skills. Maru notices that Suguri's strength and speed match, or sometimes even exceed his own. At that moment, Maru recalls Yuka mentioning her brother's abilities, the Komo. He lacks cursed energy and techniques, but gained exceptional physical abilities through the heavenly restriction. This confirms Suguri, Maki, and Toji are like Dragon Ball androids, beings without cursed energy, and therefore sorcerers can't read their movements through the flow of cursed energy. So the only way to locate them and survive their attacks is to analyze the opponent's movements until they get used to them. Interestingly, Suguri also appears to use cursed energy with his sword. Maru wonders if the sword has infinite energy, since Suguri's fighting rhythm is so different from other sorcerers. Can you imagine if what I said in my theory from the previous chapter comes true, that they actually kept Goyo's eyes? Instead of implanting them in another user, they fused them with the sword, similar to what Danzo did with his arm. I should probably stop writing while drunk. Anyway, the non-homoerotic sword clashes continue until the end. Maru is pushed against the wall and shot up to the surface, ending up lying on the ground. Meanwhile, Suguri stands solemnly in front of him. That's when the human sorcerer repeats his offer to him, reminding him that the technique that cursed Dora's sister had a limited range, and that's why, when she was abandoned and died, the curse didn't take effect. If that technique had a limited range, Mahoraga's summoning technique should too. That means if Dabura leaves the planet, the ritual would be completely nullified and Yuka could survive. This makes it even harder for Suguri, because even though he already knew his sister was going to that battle to die, and we, as viewers, already knew that, most likely Suguri had to witness how it happened. Not only did the entire world of sorcery see his sister as just a simple tool, but also how she was fading away. She was willing to sacrifice her remaining time to support the world of sorcery, the same world that sent her beloved sister into a deadly fight instead of seeking peace. Or at least, that's what Suguri must have thought. That's why he's here now, and he knows the solution isn't easy. He likely searched for a solution, but found none. He actually just wants Dabura to leave the planet. It's not a measure to help either the Cimmerians or the sorcerers. It's a measure taken solely and exclusively to save his sister. Unlike her, Suguri chose to be selfish to give his sister one final time of peace, even if that means taking a leader away from an entire people. And the truth is, I can't blame him despite everything. But on the other hand, Maru knows that Dabura can't return to his planet, since the curse affects both him and his sister. So even if he went back alone, the curse could be triggered. Although Maru mentioned something interesting, and that's that there was a chance all of this could have ended peacefully. The cursed object, the black rope, is the same rope as the chocolate from the Kaisen Zero prequel. I'm saying that Miguel used it to neutralize none other than Satoru Goyo's ability, since that rope had the qualities to nullify any ritual, and had the precedent of having nullified the rituals of Satoru Goyo himself. That made this object something priceless. But Maru himself says there's no time to find something like that anymore. Here's my question. Since the sorcerers and Cimmerians spoke often, Did the sorcerers know about Dora's sister's curse? No one thought of giving top priority to searching for that rope. It was something imperative so that the extremely powerful beings who treat curses like gods could retreat to their planet. And let's see. Miguel himself explained that this rope was a unique artifact, and that the sorcerers from his village had worked for decades just to make a few meters of that rope. We later learned Goyo completely destroyed the rope in that fight. But seriously, it's been 70 years. Didn't anyone think they could have rebuilt that artifact in all that time? Well, it seems we'll never know because no one thought to go to Africa to check. With Maru on the ground and at his mercy, Suguri proposes a duel on the spot. Well, and what they just had, was that a mating ritual or what? If Suguri wins, they leave Earth. If he loses, maybe they finally hook up, which I think they've wanted. I love how after offering the duel, Suguri asks, "Are you a warrior?" It's almost like asking, "Are we going to fight or not?" So, on the ground, Maru recalls everything he's experienced, realizing he understands Dabura as he kills Daula before everyone. Now he also almost lost his brother, confirming that he is indeed still alive. And also right now, he's about to lose a friend, reflecting on how he doesn't want others to die or get hurt. But right then, when it seemed like my buddy was going to give up or something, his third eye speaks to him, tells him, did his eye know? It asks if he's truly a warrior. All it sees is a weakling Shimurian on the ground, insulting his friend's duel challenge. The idea of the eye having its own will was already pretty weird, since the fight with the old man dressed as a kid, when Maru was knocked out and his third eye took over until Kurozo stopped him. Let's see what happens with that idea. I just remembered his eyes. They cry at birth and death, and the Rumo mourn when a Karian suffers. But let's see, what's happening this week? When Maru cries, it's 100 times stronger than me. Fucking shit. As I said, the third eye is calling Maru a pussy for not wanting to fight his friend. Finally, the last one stands up and tells his friend, "I'll fight to kill you, so please don't die." Damn, every time in a fight the opponent tells the other one, "Please don't die." Oh my god, I know it's cliche, but I'm sorry. It gives me goosebumps, I can't help it. Right after saying that, the space was completely distorted as Maru's technique, chaos, and harmony activated. My friend has to fight an alien that warps reality with just a stick and some fire? I don't know, something like Airbound, ending this week's chapter. So now, without further delay, let's move on to the next section. At first I doubted Dabura and Mahoraga, since even a good leader's death can't be seen. Now I have no doubts. Honestly, he seemed like a typical enemy who just threw the biggest fireball and waited for his opponent to explode. But for it to end so quickly with Mahoraga's abilities and only a few attacks, it shows that he's not only extremely strong but also a master of battle and war. Even Sukuna couldn't figure it out that fast. I think the next episode will mostly be the fight between Suguri and Maru, followed by something else happening. Suguri is nearly defeated, lying on the floor, but thinks, "It's fine. I trust my sister to win." And the last frame of the episode will be Mahoraga's wheel on the floor, melted, showing that the adaptable one lost. I don't think that'll happen, but it's something very Gege, honestly. I mean, you get what I mean, right? It's something really typical of that damn cat, because seeing how hard Dabura goes, it's most likely he's already figured out how to win. And look, you don't even have to be a genius type. The tough thing about Mahoraga is first being stronger than him, which is already very hard, and then understanding his technique. Once you know that, you have two options. Give up, since he'll keep getting stronger. Like characters such as Doomsday, or what you have to do to beat him, is hit him with a deadly attack at maximum power. Probably Dabura is holding back. When you fight against an opponent, you pace yourself. You don't throw everything at once, right? But seeing that Mahoraga's strong point is survival, the way to beat him is to drop a freaking nuke on him, and boom, that's it. Just throw everything at him. Basically, the only thing that could make Dabura lose would be if he runs out of techniques, and as a result, Mahoraga has adapted to everything. But of course, it would have to be a scenario where Dabura has nothing left to destroy Mahoraga in one blow. Or if the idiot kept throwing techniques at him from weakest to strongest, constantly making Mahoraga adapt. Which wouldn't make sense if he already understood the techniques, since Gege would never give us a happy ending. Will he pull something out so Dabura can disintegrate Mahoraga? And as for these two, well, I trust Suguri actually kept Rika's ring as a backup. Physical strength is useless against someone who can distort reality. Suguri will probably use Rika to survive while the opponent distorts space. Either that or Kurosu appears again and knocks out his brother, like before. Remember, he and Yuka also formed a small bond. I don't think he's going to leave Earth either, but he's definitely more willing to talk than his brother. Also, seeing his brother standing helps Maru calm down a bit. By the way, hey, what about Yuji and Itadori?
Come on, man. Snap out of that limbo you're in. Come over here so I can get to know you. The new Black Flash comes with a free cigar with a beard so you can smoke it.
Well, the episode has been very good. It's also tense. I have to say it's very tense. I just want this to keep progressing and more episodes to come. Right now, I'm unsure what will happen since there are several unresolved issues. It's clear that Yuji Tadori has to do something. It would be really weird, honestly, very strange, if Tadori has been mentioned so much and so on, and then doesn't even make an appearance. I mean, he could do the usual thing of just being there in the crowd, simply smiling as he sees the new sorcerers handling the problems. But I don't know. Honestly, I find it strange that Itadori doesn't have at least a decent role. More than just a simple damn mention, because Yuta Okatsu himself. Well, let's see. Yes, he's dead, but it's his descendants who are starring in all of this. Gigi regrets much of his trio, that whole awful group of protagonists. It's terrible. The only halfway decent one is Itadori, by the way. But damn, since you have him, well, you put Itadori as the protagonist, you didn't put Yuta Okatsu or Goyo or anyone else as the main character, you put Itadori. Well, now that you have him, use him properly and bring him out. Itadori has plenty of fans. What else can I say? We'll see each other next week or whenever Gege releases the chapter, because I don't know if they'll be working at the end of the year. I don't think so. I wouldn't do it. So anyway, see you next week or whenever it's time for more. Jujutsu Kaisen Model Ciao.